Hello everyone, this is part 21 of What If Naruto was exiled after he brought Sasuke back, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. They've been captured. 3 words. 3 simple words turned the group upside down. What do you mean they've been captured? Nami asked, looking at the older Uchiha. Our spy just sent me a message. Kakashi, Naruto and Mika were cornered and captured by Sasuke and the sorcerer. Itachi said, reading the message. They're being taken to Orochimaru. Hinata was frozen. Nami was wide-eyed. We must do something to rescue them. Lee said, clenching his fist. No, Itachi said, cutting off the others, who agreed instantly with Lee. What? Why? Nami demanded. Our responsibility is to get Gaara to Konoha. We cannot risk the Kazekige's life for 3 men, no matter who they are. Itachi said. Hinata was before him, her eyes black as night. Striking me will not make it any less true. We have a duty, and Konoha will need us there to bolster the defenses when Orochimaru arrives. Hinata was silent, her pure black eyes stared into Itachi's. The Uchiha twitched, but that was it. Well, the hell with you. Nami said. I'm not a ninja of your village, and the only ones I owe loyalty to are Naruto and Mika. The lavender-haired archer said, her hand tightening around her bow. It would be S. Neji said from where he stood, a hand on Lee's shoulder. Naruto would want us to finish the mission. Lee bowed his head at this. He knew Neji was right. So did Hinata. She didn't like it one bit. You all might not, but I can at least keep an eye on him until help arrives. Kyuubi said from where he was floating near Nami. I might not be able to interact with the world, but I can advise the kid if he needs it. Nami snorted. Why didn't you advise him and Mika that their sneaking off was a bad idea? Kyuubi looked at the archer and sighed. I didn't think they would actually do it, and when they pulled the switch I wasn't watching them. Gaara stood to the side listening in. He didn't agree with Itachi. I don't need to be coddled or protected. His gaze turned in the direction from where they knew Orochimaru's army was coming from. He took a step in that direction and felt a hand on his shoulder. He turned to see Kankuro there, shaking his head. Temari will kill me if you don't arrive in Konoha. The puppet user said. I owe Naruto much. Gaara said, his raccoon-like eyes turning back towards the direction he knew his blonde friend was in. Kankuro was at a loss. He agreed with Gaara. The sooner Sibs owed the blonde much for what he'd done for Gaara. They listened as Hinata, Lee and Nami wanted to go rescue the others. Naruto would do it for you. Lee shouted. Enough. Gaara said, his soft voice carrying over the others. The issue is moot. What do you mean, Lord Kazekige? Tenten asked from near Lee and Neji. Because pretty, you won't be alive to rescue anybody. A voice said, and they turned to see Ninja rise up from the ground. His F was made of dirt and stone. With him a figure descended from the sky with gossamer wings. She held a long spear with a serrated head. Another figure melted out of a tree. What are they? Nami asked, backing up, her bow up with an arrow aimed at the nearest target. Orochimaru's abominations. Itachi said. Failed lab experiments. We might be failed experiments, but we are still useful to Lord Orochimaru. We shall show him how useful when we bring him all of us. The dirt nin said. The woman with wings leapt to the air. Enough stone. Mesh. Let's kill them all. You're right, Mudma. The one that melted from the tree said. Mokuton. He sneered, and tree roots exploded from the earth to attack the Suna Konoha nin. Orochimaru's camp. Naruto and the others were shoved to their knees outside the tent of Orochimaru. The snake Sannin looked at him from his throne and sneered. What is this? Termites in the woods. They were planning on attacking the troops. Sasuke said. Behind him his guards spread out. Kakashi, the Kyuubi brat and our friend from Wave. Kukukuku, seems like I get to deal with you far sooner than I'd expected. You think that, Snake? I've lured you into a false sense of security is all. I have you all right where I want you. Mika said. At this the gathered enemy ninja laughed. Shang hovered near the back, the Hanzo sword in ice. Orochimaru saw the sorcerer and the sword. His attention however moved to Sasuke as the Uchiha reached out and took something from the Kyuubi brat's belt. What's this dobe? Naruto saw him holding it up to his face and he sent out a Vunla pulse. Orochimaru knocked the weapon aside in time, saving the Uchiha from having his head drilled by the chakra blade. A Raijin. Impressive weapon Naruto-kun. Orochimaru purred, picking up the orange-bladed weapon. And far too dangerous to be in the hands of someone like you. The Snake Sannin studied the weapon and flicked the switch off. He passed it to Sasuke. Be careful with this, Sasuke-kun. It is a powerful weapon. Sasuke sneered. If it's so powerful, what is the dobe doing with it? Orochimaru shook his head. Thankfully, when I take over his body, the mind and soul are destroyed. He is an idiot, too arrogant in his bloodline and family name. Naruto remained silent, his fox-s eyes glaring at his former teammate. Forget the idiot fox, Sasuke. Sakura said, stepping into the meeting. Naruto muttered and got a backhand slap that drove him into the ground. Finally lived up to your heritage, Barker. Sakura said. Nothing more than an animal that should be put down. She looked at Orochimaru. I know you wish to study him, Lord Orochimaru, but allow me to K him. We just need his genetic makeup to study, he doesn't need to be alive. Kakashi looked at the two former members of his team. I failed as a sensei on so many levels. Tsunade was right in demoting me. I became too blind, too proud of accomplishments that I stole. Not yet, my little blossom. Orochimaru said, caressing her cheek. He looked at the three prisoners. I think it's time we see what they know first. Shang. The sorcerer drifted forward, the ice-encased sword following behind him. Make them talk. Orochimaru ordered. Shang bowed his cloak and shadow-covered head and floated towards the kneeling trio. It is a shame. You could have been great, young dragon. Shang hissed as he hovered over Micah. Yeah, and you could have been important. Micah said. But you're just full of hot air. The gust of wind slammed into Shang and sent him crashing into the guards. Now, Micah said and leapt to his feet, Kakashi as well, both of them snapping their bonds. Naruto, still dazed and bound heavily, could only watch as the two fought off guards. Micah sent waves of wind at Orochimaru and Sakura, they fled along with Sasuke. Son of a... He has my mecha disciple. Naruto growled and his chakra swirled around him and snapped the bonds. He sprang to his feet, ready to pursue, but found a wall of ninja blocking his path. We need to get out of here. Micah said. He looked at the frozen sword and was heading towards it when it was swallowed by a portal. Micah spun to see Shang. You bastard. He drew on his anger and power and slammed his hands together. Wind style. Kakashi turned and watched as a huge shape took form overhead. Wind Dragon Jutsu. Iron Reaver, Soul Sealer. The Dragon of Wind tore through Shang and the sorcerer's scream was heard all the way to Konoha as his soul was shredded from his body and scattered to the winds. Correction, Shang and the ninja behind him suffered this as they couldn't escape the wrath of the Draconian. Naruto created shadow clones and using his remaining chakra blade cut a path of destruction. They were nearly out of the camp when they came across Sasuke and nearly 20 ninja. You're not going anywhere, the Uchiha said, and he went to attack Naruto, but Kakashi was in his way. The two slammed together and their fists were leaving welts where they connected. Kakashi sent Sasuke back, and looked over his shoulder. Go! Warn Konoha. He ordered and went back, diving into the swarm of ninja. Micah and Naruto wanted to help, but more Iwa, Oto and Kumo ninja were approaching. Run! Kakashi said, taking a hard blow from Sasuke. Tell them what you saw. Naruto looked at Micah. Both boys didn't want to, but Orochimaru was coming and he had summoned nearly 20 snakes the size of a large building. Kakashi was using jutsus to thin the pursuing forces. Micah saw the Jonin turned Genin's eyes and nodded. He grabbed Naruto and was off like a shot into the air. The blonde nine-tail screaming about leaving Kakashi behind. Looks like they're nothing more than trash, if what you always believed in was true, Hatake. Sasuke sneered. No, the good of the many outweigh the good of the few, or the one. The ninja formed a circle around Kakashi, breaking off all chances of escape. He felt a barrier go up and knew he couldn't shushan out of here. He looked at his former student. You were to be the best of us. You were meant to be a defender of Konoha, protector of the Wall of Fire. Not betray us. Sasuke laughed. I told you that day long ago, Hatake. I am an avenger. I will do whatever it takes to become strong enough to defeat and kill my brother. You'll never become strong, Sasuke. You're always going to be that weak, whining little boy Itachi allowed to live when he killed you clan to protect Naruto. Kakashi said. He formed the Chidori and attacked. Sasuke was waiting for that and without thinking pulled the weapon he'd taken off Naruto and activated it. In a blindingly fast move he sidestepped the assassination move and lopped off Kakashi's arm. The silver-haired Jonin turned Genin howled in pain and dropped to his knees in pain. He looked at the smoking nub of his arm that ended just below the elbow. To think, I might have at one point in time respected you. Thankfully that moment passed and I saw you for the weakling you were. Sasuke said and spun, decapitating Kakashi with the orange blade. Sasuke sneered. He loved the feeling of power, and he looked at the new weapon he'd acquired. With this Raijin, I have the power to kill Itachi. Go back. We've got to go back. Naruto yelled while struggling to escape Mika's grip. The Draconian's grip tightened on his brother's waist. Naruto, stop. Naruto looked at him. We can't leave him. We had to. Mika said. He'd known the moment he'd seen Kakashi's eyes. The silver-haired man was going to buy them a chance to escape. He would not throw that away no matter what. Kakashi always said that those who abandon their friends are trash. We didn't abandon him, Naruto. He made a choice. He chose to stay and delay them. We need to tell Konoha about the siege weapons that Orochimaru is building. Why didn't you attack with your Kamehameha? Mika didn't answer. His thoughts had turned to the fact that the Hanzo sword was gone. He had no clue where the sorcerer had sent it. Kid. Stormbringer. Yeah, I'm weakened by the ice, but if you can, summon me. How? Foos. Mika was concerned the connection to the blade was weakening even after this short amount of time. He did as the blade instructed. He pictured it in his mind, his chakra flared. Hey, what the hell? Naruto, who had been talking about what they could have done to save Kakashi, realized that the Draconian wasn't listening and had a glazed look. There was a bang and a flash and he saw the Hanzo sword materialize in its scabbard. Sadly this had another effect. Mika used too much chakra to summon the blade across the dimensions and with that they plummeted towards the ground. AWWWWWSHIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIII of Shadow Clone Jutsu. Hundreds of Narutos appeared in the air and Naruto yelled, "Transform!" And they did into a big glob of jello. Splat! Hinata leapt over the winged experiment and with a Juken strike tore the girl's wing from her back. The other two were put down as Gaara with Itachi took out the Dirt Man and Team 9 shredded the other one. After Tenten pinned him down on the ground, he couldn't reach a tree and Neji's attacks destroyed the roots. After the three were dealt with, it was Hinata that noticed the diseased plants. Their contact was killing the plants around them. Itachi shook his head. Orochimaru perverts everything he comes in contact with. Kiba and Akamaru finished pouring flash powder on the bee and set them aflame. Man, I wonder how many freaks he's got. The Inuzuka heir muttered. Akamaru barked and his partner agreed. I thought they smelled bad before, but phew, they stink more burning. They heard a yell and looking around it was Lee who looked up. Seconds before they were engulfed in a huge blob of jello and two figures impacted from above into it as well. The jello exploded in a puff of smoke and everyone looked at Naruto laying on the ground shoving an unconscious Mika off of him. Naruto-kun. Hinata tackled him and hugged him, then slapped him and then kissed him, in that order. Nami looked at Mika and rolled him onto his back. What's wrong with him? She asked. Naruto broke the kiss with Hinata and growled. Naruto-kun. Hinata asked. He left Kakashi behind. The others looked at him. What? Why? Wait, you were captured? Kankuro was saying, remembering the discussion before the attack. Mika coughed as he sat up. We were. Hitaki-san stayed behind to buy us time to get away. Naruto growled. We all could have gotten away. No, we couldn't have. Mika said and got to his feet groaning. Damn it, Stormbringer, that frackin' hurt. My apologies, young hatchling. But you did summon me across dimensional barriers and from my prison of ice. Next time. Okami's panties know there will not be a next time. Now shush, I need to focus on the now. And you left him behind. Mika sighed. Naruto had it in his head that leaving Kakashi behind was wrong. Naruto, we couldn't have done a running battle the whole way, no matter how strong we are. Micah said and looked at his brother's eyes. Hatake-san knew that if we would have tried to fly away with all three, they would have shot us out of the sky. He bought us time. Melwasu-san is right, Itachi said. Kakashi did his duty. Naruto kicked the ground. Hinata put a hand on his forearm. Naruto-kun. He was my friend. He made mistakes, but he helped me when I was younger. I know he changed during that time when he tried to K me, but he wasn't himself. Hinata took a deep breath. Jakela, he knows about the mental changes all the way back. Naruto growled. More bad news, Micah said to the others. Not only are they preparing siege weapons, the Uchiha has one of Naruto's mechadisciples in his possession. Naruto looked at the place on his belt where the weapon had been and winced. Some good news, the sorcerer is S, but we don't know if Orochimaru has more of them. Snake bastard hates fighting fair. Naruto muttered. They were silent. Kiba spoke up. So, we going to make it to Konoha, or we going to sit around a campfire singing, row 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 your boat? Several of the nin looked at Kiba and Akamaru groaned at his master. We move. Konoha needs to alter its defenses for siege weapons, Gaara said. He and Kankuro took to the treetops and the others followed. Naruto, Hinata, Micah and Nami remained on the ground. I'm sore, was as far as Micah got before Naruto's punch knocked him off his feet. Nami leapt back and looked at the nine-tailed Hanyu. I deserved that, Micah said, but we did the right thing, Naruto. I'm not talking to you right now. Naruto growled and with bewildered Hinata leapt into the trees following the others. Nami helped Micah to his feet. You sure do have a way with people. The silver-haired teen sighed and looked after Naruto. He's mad at me. He'll get over it, Nami said. You did the only thing you could. Did I? Micah said and they went to the treetops as well. Another rest break had Micah on one side of the rest area and Naruto in a tree ignoring him. Kyuubi was near the blonde. What troubles you, Kit? Naruto looked away. Don't want to talk about it. Fine. That's all you gonna say. Not that I'm being too hard on Micah. Naruto asked. Why would I say that, K the bastard? I mean, how dare he worry about saving you and getting a message to Konoha about the siege weapons? The cad, how dare he? Naruto growled. Hey, how come Sasuke was able to use my mechadiscipline? I thought that it was impossible for another to use it, like I thought there was a safety feature. Kyuubi sighed and looked away. You had to ask the one question I really don't want to answer. Naruto looked at the shade. What do you mean you don't want to answer? Why the hell can that bastard use my chakra sword? He can't use both of them, Kit, just the orange one. Why? Naruto asked. Below, Hinata and the others were listening. Micah looked up as well. That had bugged him as well. Kyuubi sighed and drifted to the ground. I can't answer that right now, Kit. Please, just leave it alone. Naruto dropped down, his 9 blonde tails waving around wildly. Like hell fuzz, but that bastard has something of mine, and he's able to hold it, and 5 gives you 10, he'll be able to activate it. He already has, Kyuubi said and looking at him sadly. You felt it through the vunla. He used your blade to K Hatake. Naruto looked at the fox who was trying hard to avoid his gaze. I want answers, Kyuubi. I can't, Kit. There are things. Now damn it. All my life I've been lied to about myself and my family. You know how much I hate that. Sigh, Kit. Please, damn it, Kyuubi, everyone in my life has lied to me at some point. Don't hide this. Why can Sasuke use my sword? Why couldn't I summon it when we were running? Kit, Naruto, during the mission to Snow, when you were in the hospital, the Uchiha needed a blood transfer, Kakashi used your blood as you were regenerating it quickly. Itachi cursed out loud, and the Sharingan mutated it. The others looked at him. It's happened a time or two. I was hurt once and I got a blood transfusion from Kisame. I was more proficient with water jutsus and swords after that. Naruto looked at the shade. So he can use my sword. Because on that day, Hatake made you blood brothers. Kyuubi said. Micah looked at Naruto. They were standing across from one another, Micah with Stormbringer drawn, Naruto with the purple mechadiscipline. The pair circled one another. After Kyuubi's revelation, Naruto had traveled ahead of everyone, shock flowing through him. They were hours away from Konoha when Itachi called a rest stop. Naruto was pacing and Micah put himself in his brother's path. We need to talk, the dragon Hanyu said calmly. Naruto tensed and then with a sigh had followed Micah away from the others, Kyuubi having Nami and Hinata stay back. They need to work it out. This is one of the first times that they've been mad, Micah over failing Naruto and Naruto because of Hatake. Add in my revelation of the Uchiha, the shade looked off and watched as the pair started dueling. Won't they hurt one another? Hinata asked concerned. No. This will help them. The spar like this in order to center themselves, to get answers. Kyuubi said. Inside he was wishing he was able to use the Vunla. It would have been so much helpful. Why is Kami balancing things now when before the scales were clearing in the other side's favor? Kyuubi had been wondering about that for some time. Why is Kami becoming so involved? This isn't like her. The former demon fox thought as he watched his students spar. The two powerful blades clashed together. The wind lightning blade against the chakra blade was something the gathered nin wouldn't forget anytime soon. No other powers were used, this was a pure sword fight. Neither Hanyu was in control, as they continued to slash, parry, lunge and flip around. I'm sorry for leaving him behind, Naruto. Micah finally spoke as their blades were locked together and the boys' faces were inches apart. But I had to consider the bigger picture, and with Orochimaru and his summon coming and the whole camp prepared for us, there was no way we would have survived. Naruto shoved him back. I know. I hate it, but I know. I'm sorry for hitting you and yelling at you. Naruto said as he spun the purple blade. I wasn't thinking clearly. A flurry of attacks and the blades met again. I could have summoned some toads or, Naruto stopped and shook his head. The blades met again and again. So, what happened when we were flying? Naruto asked. Micah blocked a series of strikes and went with an up-down strike. I pulled Stormbringer across dimensions from wherever the sorcerer sent it. Sadly I pushed too hard to do so and temporarily drained myself. A flurry of strikes and they continued to circle. The Uchiha must S. Micah said. If he's got your blood. I know. That worries me as well. The fact I was never told about it pisses me off. And Kakashi is lucky he's not here. The pair attacked and defended once more. Nami and I are together. Micah said and Naruto laughed as he blocked the silver-haired Hanyu's attack. Figured that. Q and I thought you two would have been going at it like bunnies back in Undervis. Micah blushed a bit. Pain in my butt, the both of you fuzzballs. Naruto laughed, till Micah spoke next. So, you and the little white-eyed angel. Don't go there. Naruto warned. You know, now that I see her, I remember her when we were younger. Micah. Naruto warned as he attacked, the purple blade spinning and slamming into the Hanzo sword, Micah getting his defenses up just in time. I mean, I remember her always peeking around something to watch, and... Naruto growled and the purple blade came in faster and faster. Micah laughed and instead of using the sword, he used his left hand to catch the blade. Micah let Naruto catch his wrist holding the Hanzo sword and stood there grinning. I'm happy for you, Naruto. She's in love with you, she damn near vibrates with you just being near. Be quiet, Naruto said and Micah smirked. Then Naruto turned the tables. So, Nami staked her claim, I take it. No damn close, but someone interrupted us. Micah admitted. Naruto nodded remembering the time with him and Hinata and Kakashi interrupting them. It seems so long. Micah nodded. Everything is rushing towards the end. We'll be fighting the snake and the emo freak soon enough. They stepped back, Micah sheathing the Hanzo sword and Naruto deactivating the chakra blade. He clipped it to his belt, his tails waving behind him. Naruto knew if anything, Sasuke and him would be meeting for certain, and he knew the bastard would have learned how to use the chakra blade. I just hope he can't use Vunla, then we'll all be fed. Gates of Konoha. The group looked up at the massive wooden doors. Naruto was nervous. 3 years. 3 years. Micah put a scaled left hand on the blonde Hanyu's shoulder. Hinata took his hand. They took a step forward with the group when they found a squad of Anbu blocking their way. Identify yourselves. A pigeon-faced Anbu ordered. Stand down. They all turned to see the white-haired Jiraiya standing atop the wall looking down. He leapt and landed before the group, a huge grin on his face. Hey Naruto, he said and pulled the blonde into a one-armed hug. Ero-sanin. The blonde Nine-Tails said gasping as the older man hugged him. If he's hugging me this hard, Bar-chan's going to turn me into paste. Naruto thought. He had been happy to hear it that Jiraiya and Tsunade hadn't had a hand in his exile. Hinata had spent a lot of time talking to him as they came closer to Konoha. She told him how Tsunade would stop working and stare long at a photo she had of him. She told Naruto how she would curse the damned council. Naruto gasped when it seemed like the Toad Sage wouldn't let him go anytime soon. Jiraiya let him go and coughed seeing the others. Naruto smiled at seeing his former sensei embarrassed. Missed you, brat, Jiraiya said before looking at the others. Tsunade is expecting you. Our scouts report that Orochimaru's forces haven't moved in some time, he said as he led them past the gates and guards. Sasuke is probably learning how to use his new toy. Naruto growled. Micah put a hand on his shoulder. We'll get it back. Naruto nodded and they passed many people who stopped and stared. Naruto tensed, waiting for the harsh words. Hinata's hand in his squeezed and he looked at her pale eyes. It's okay, she said softly. If they can't accept you, they aren't worth your attention. Naruto nodded. Some of the ninja on duty watched on as civilians were being evacuated to the shelters. One saw the blonde and cursed. He felt a pointed blade against his en and looked out of the corner of his eyes, afraid to move his head. Anko was there, the kunai at his end drawing a thin line of blood. I'd be very careful what you say, moron. That is the apprentice of Jiraiya and seen as a son by the 5th Hokage. Her blade dug into the idiot nin's en a bit more. The Hokage's apprentice has a shine for him as well, and you remember what she did to Hiashi. The nin gulped as his eyes watched the group vanished around the corner. I also have a soft spot for the Gaki. Not many know, but after the Chunin exams 3 years back, he did me right. He earned my respect, Anko said, her gaze looking at the rest of the nearby ninja. Any of you have a problem with him, you have one with me. He's come back here to help protect Konoha. She pulled her kunai away and looked at the idiot who had cursed the blonde. Why? I don't know. I'm starting to feel maybe you all aren't worth his attention. Anko started to walk away, but stopped and looked over her shoulder. Oh, and if any of you idiots even think of attacking him during battle, I will make sure your S and you'll be nailed to the walls. With that Anko Mitarashi, the special jonin of Konoha shushined away, a very lucky to be alive inside and went to change his pants. Naruto looked up at the Hokage tower. It's nearly all the same, he said. Jiraiya chuckled. Well, the walls to the Hokage's office have been replaced numerous times. The blonde looked at him and Jiraiya shrugged. Tsunade still has a temper. Naruto laughed. And I thought the two of you going at it like rabbits would have calmed that down over the years. Everyone in the group stopped and Jiraiya chucked while scratching the back of his head. How'd you know, brat? Walked in once right after she became Hokage and you two were breaking in her desk. Must say, Bar-chan has a dirty mouth. Hinata blushed next to the blonde Hanyu while some of the other nin looked amused and some twitched at the mental image of the Toad Sage and the Hokage. Kiba shuddered. I'll never be able to look at her the same way again, thanks a lot, Naruto. Akamaru barked in agreement. Micah laughed. Naruto had described Tsunade to him shortly after they hooked up and he looked at Jiraiya. Hey, that could be Naruto when he's older. Hell, the two are similar in stance and personality now. Shaking his head, he was cracked across the back of the head lightly by Nami. He looked at her and she raised an eyebrow. Behave. Gaara and Kankuro shook their head. Kankuro was drooling, he'd said it before how Smokin the 5th Hokage looked. Gaara was a bit disturbed. He remembered the meetings in the office with the blonde Hokage, and his senses had been telling him something at those times, and now he knew what they were. Itachi was expressionless, but his hand was near a belt pouch and the hints of an orange book could be seen peeking out. Kiba, you and your sister need to check in with your mother. She's near the southern sector. Jiraiya said. Kiba nodded and headed off with Hana. The Toad Sage turned and smiled at Naruto. Hope you like being hugged, he said as they entered the tower. Naruto thanked Kami for his healing abilities. Bar-chan's going to powder my ribs. Behind the group, Kyubi drifted. His eyes were taking in the village and he saw many of the looks from the ninja. Oh brat, you come to save them, and the idiots are being blinded by your looks. You and Micah should have worn cloaks. I fear that the times ahead are going to be rough. The shade of the nine-tail in human form followed the others into the tower. I have a bad feeling about this. Orochimaru's camp. Sasuke worked with the wooden bokken. He wanted to use the new blade he'd taken from the dobe, but Orochimaru had insisted that he learn how to properly wield a sword before activating that weapon again. The swordsmen and mercenaries in the group were conscripted to show Sasuke their styles, and with his Sharingan activated, he copied them all. He saw ways to improve them with adding several ninjutsu attacks to them. He watched one and swordsman and Sasuke could see the hole in the attack thanks to copying a dozen other styles. Sasuke grabbed the hilt of the chakra sword and with a snap hiss its sly hum was the last thing the swordsman heard before his head was severed from his body. Sasuke looked at the orange blade, and he noticed it was becoming more red each time he activated it. How did the dobe of all people get a Raijin-type blade? Sasuke thought. He remembered one of his last missions before he'd left the leaf. Of Aoi and the Raijin. And yet the dobe has two of them, and they aren't like the one Aoi carried. These are stronger, more sly. I can feel the power coursing through the blade. Watching from a distance Orochimaru with Sakura, Sai and Danzo watched on. He is becoming more powerful, Lord Orochimaru. Danzo said. His failure at Suna had taken away much of his arrogance, and the beating from Orochimaru later on finished the lesson on who the master was. Yes, Sasuke is becoming even stronger. The Snake Sannin pondered about the changes in the Kyuubi container. I didn't sense the Kyuubi in him. The chakra is there, but the soul, the Kyuubi itself is gone. Sakura, your studies, he said as they watched Sasuke continue his practice now with the reddish-orange blade. Kakashi's corpse was a goldmine of information. Sadly the loss of the Sharingan took away much. I cannot believe Konoha took away the Sharingan from Kakashi. It was that Hyuga tramp. Sakura said. She was jealous and removed his eyes as a punishment. As you told me. Orochimaru pondered much over the information Sakura had shared with him. Much of which Danzo had left out. Sakura, when we attack Konoha, take a detachment, I think I want to study the Hyuga girl. The pink-haired girl growled. It will be as you command. Orochimaru nodded. Danzo, the Kyuubi I leave to you and Sasuke. Alive or I want him. Danzo nodded. Alive the blonde bastard will be too difficult to hold. Danzo decided. And what will you be doing while the army crushes Konoha, my lord? Danzo asked. Why, I think it's high time there is a reckoning between the Sannin. The hag and the fool will learn their places. Orochimaru saw the progress that Sasuke was making copying the styles of the swordsmen and nodded. Not long. Soon the leaf will burn, and the very existence will be wiped from the face of the world. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.